Introduction. Welcome to the world of dark psychology. If you choose to stay, you will find out things you never knew existed. This is a journey not meant for the faint of heart. Secrets of darkness will be revealed, some of which you may find have been used against you. The good news is that in this book, you will always find ways to spot when dark psychology is being used on you or someone you care about. You won't be helpless against the darkness anymore. You will recognize it and know how to deal with it and the person attempting to dish it out. I've become an expert on this subject due to all the research I've done to understand the power play and politics at top management levels of corporate America. One must delve into the sometimes wicked minds of executives in order to understand them, after all. All the better for you that I've found out what lies behind the eyes of what seem to be innocent people. With my newfound understanding, I found I had quite the different take on individuals I'd just met, and even some that I already knew. And you will have this gift too, if you decide to throw caution to the wind and go down this rabbit hole with me. Whether you've always been one to see the best in this world or not, you will now find that every person may not be what they seem to be. Many people are out not only to take something from you, but to try to keep you down, if only to make them stand a little bit taller. You know the type of person I'm talking about, the ones who seem to rise to the top even though they've done nothing to deserve it, the people who tend to walk on others to get to the top. If you were aware of what they were trying to do, manipulate you into bowing down, letting them walk on your back, use you as a stepping stone, you would never allow it. These people mask their evil deeds, but soon you will know how to unmask these ruthless individuals. You will have the knowledge to deal with them on their own level. Or maybe you will prefer not to deal with them at all. Learning how to harness your power and not allow anyone to take it is important too. You too can use dark psychology to help you get to the place you've always dreamt of getting to. Why can't you have the top spot in the company? Why can't you have a beautiful home and a fancy car? Why can't you figure out how to rise above the crowd to stand out and get what you rightfully deserve? The answer is simple. People who know how to use dark psychology have already beaten you to the things you want and deserve. They know they haven't worked for it. They know they shouldn't have it or be in the position they're in. They do not care. One can look at nearly every politician in office. Many know how to use dark psychology, and they keep using it to stay in positions of power. You see their faces on your television most days on the news. Maybe they're being discredited by others who follow the darkness. Perhaps others are attempting to, for lack of a better word, dethrone them. You won't see them fall, for they too know the secrets and understand how to bend the minds of people. All they have to do is make a select few believe in them, and then they will shake off the attacker rather easily. You at home are left wondering how they pulled it off. Soon you will know how they did it. Soon you will have the ability to move up, if that's what you want to do. Soon you will have the knowledge that will have you seeing the world in a different light, a light tinged with a darkness that you can learn to see and understand. It's up to you how you will use this new power. Just remember that with power comes responsibility. And karma is still a thing that one should watch out for, even if they are using the power of dark psychology. So, are you ready to take a journey to the dark side? Chapter 1. Welcome to the Dark Side. Handling dangerous knowledge. In this book, you will be given knowledge that is deemed dangerous. It would be remiss of me if I didn't caution you about the use of anything you find in these pages. Using negativity will only bring negativity upon you. You can understand darkness while not diving into it. So let's understand what dark psychology truly is. It's not an exact science. More of an art form, really. It is the study of mind control and manipulation of the mind. Manipulation in various forms is used. Coercion is when one uses threats to force a person into doing things they wouldn't normally do. Manipulation is the art of making people think they actually want to do or say something that they really don't. Using insidious tactics to turn a person's mind around to benefit themselves is an unfair act that can leave the victim confused. They genuinely don't understand what made them say or do the thing they did. And, all the while, the manipulator stands back, mouth closed and eyes wide open, knowing what they did. There is the power of persuasion that people using dark psychology can use. Somehow they say all the right things to make the victim think in the terms they want them to. Gently, they lead the person to say things they wouldn't usually say and do things they never would have done. And then we have motivation, the old "I'll scratch your back if you scratch mine" scenario. Dark psychology is used in many ways in our society. I've pointed out how it's used in politics, but what about other places where large groups congregate? Although it's not usually thought of as a thing that might use darkness to spread the word it's trying to spread, religions can use dark psychology to rein in its congregation. Some top religious authorities use the threat of hell to keep their followers in line. One might wonder how terrorist groups get any followers at all. When the leaders use all sorts of dark psychology to brainwash people, it gets easier to understand. Cults gain followers using the same techniques as everything else above does. So when you get right down to it, wouldn't it be in your best interest to know and understand when someone is using these dark tactics on you or your loved ones? I know I like the fact that I can easily see through the individuals who think they're so smart and can get anyone to do what they want, evil or not. And when they know that you can see right through them, they typically go away and leave you alone. There's no reason to even attempt to use their tactics on you if you're well aware of what they're doing. This book is a powerful tool for those who read it. With knowledge comes power. You will gain insight. You will be intrigued. And ultimately, you will see things in black and white and know where you stand, and where others do as well. Just make sure you use your newfound knowledge for good, okay? Beware of the smiling guy. Undoubtedly, you've met at least one of these smiling guys who just gives you the creeps right off the bat. Be thankful that you've got that innate sense. Some people don't have it at all. Criminologists and psychologists have something they use to pinpoint people who might have criminal or problematic tendencies. The dark triad is a list these professionals can use to gauge the magnitude or depth of the problems a person might have. Here are the big three. Narcissism is when a person has a rather massive ego. They boast about even the smallest achievement they've made, or claim to have made. They like to put on airs, also known as being grandiose. This gives them the appearance of being something they aren't. What the outside thinks matters to them a lot. They have no empathy. They don't care to understand where others are coming from or how things hurt them. And one of the craziest things they do is try to get others to empathize with them when they have no empathy for others. This is their world, and everyone in it are merely puppets to them. Machiavellianism is the practice of deceptive manipulation. They want to exploit people to serve them and their missions. They have no moral character, nor the morality most people are born with, or, at the very least, are taught early on. Psychopathy is a tricky one. These people can be the most charming people you've ever met. Politicians and religious figures, as well as cult leaders, fit this bill. But that charm isn't always there. It's used as a lure to get the victim into the lair where the person will impose their will on them once they're trapped. Once they have control over their victims, they will begin to be impulsive. Said with the charm of being spontaneous, these people will impulsively do things without thinking about the outcome or who might get hurt in the process. That's because they have a selfish streak a mile long. They, too, have no empathy for others, and what is worse, they don't have a remorseful bone in their bodies. You have come across people with these three tendencies. There is no way you've lived even a small amount of time and haven't had to deal with one or more people who use darkness to bait you. There are real-life cases of people who belong in the dark triad, and you meet them all the time. Take this case. I knew a man who hadn't worked but a short amount of time in his lifetime. How is it that a man who had a wife and children and no disabilities managed to accomplish this feat, you ask? Using dark psychology is how. He charmed and offered things he could never give, just to get others to put in what they could. Then he used what they'd provided, items needed to help the real unfortunate people he'd claimed he was gathering things for himself. When he'd used up everyone around him, and they no longer would have anything to do with him, he played on the sympathy of his elderly mother, a woman on a fixed income whose husband had died years ago and left her in a home that was paid for. Her husband, this man's father, knew he had to set his wife up, or their son would ruin her. Guess what? He did anyway. When the world he'd used turned on him, he went to his mother, told her that he was ready to end his life. He had nothing left to live for. His wife and children had turned on him, and now he was on his own. Of course, no mother wants their child to end their life. So she did what any parent would and asked what she could do to help. And boy, was he ready with a list for her. A car, a place to live, 3 hot meals a day, Mom. That's all I'm asking for, he pleaded. And she made sure he had those things, giving up her own car to him and giving him a room in her home, plus making meals for her poor, poor son. One would think that would be enough, but oh no, not for the man who needed it all. Now he just needed to make money. And he couldn't go to work for anyone else because he was so much smarter than everyone else that it drove him crazy to work under people. He needed his own business. Nothing big, nothing too expensive. All he needed was $10,000 to make his lifelong dream, a dream his mother had never heard him talk about before, come true. That was all he needed. He could do the rest, and he'd pay her back with interest if that was what she wanted. "Oh, no, son," she'd say. "It's a gift to help you get back on your feet. I love you. I want to help you." So he got the money, and for a very short time he gave this business of his a shot. Not a real shot, a half-hearted shot. And he failed, and he came back to her home. He'd had to sell her car to have enough money to make it back to her home. He was back to square one and just needed a little more help. Maybe the church she used to go to before she got too weak to make it to services would be so kind as to help him. And this went on and on for a lifetime. People were used, abused, sucked dry, and all for only one man to do nothing more with his life than be the guiltless, immoral, selfish vampire that he was. At least you have this book. At least you have a way to spot people like this before they ruin your world or the world of someone you love. Because in this book, you will learn how to deal with people like this. Wired for deception. The reason the triad of dark personalities even exists in the first place is that we were born hardwired to listen to what people say and learn as well as develop from what's said. I don't care who you are, you weren't born knowing all you know or acting the way you do now. Your upbringing shaped you, and then you were shaped further by society after getting out into the world on your own. Not every culture lies to their children, but some do. The myth of Santa and the Easter Bunny are characters that seem so real, children believe them to be true. When you add in that parents use these make-believe characters to get children to act right and be good, or they won't get presents or candy, you've got yourself an example of just how deceptive society is as a whole. So don't beat yourself up, even if you've ever fallen prey to many people out there who are trying to take something from you or have tried to make you see things the way they want you to. We've all fallen victim, as well as have played the role of deceiver in our lifetimes. Neuro-linguistic programming is a concept that some people came up with in the 1970s. You have an unconscious mind and a conscious mind. The two don't always seem to be speaking the same language at times. As the name states, this deals with a person's neurology, linguistics, which is speech, and how to program these things to work for us. If you don't know how to communicate well with yourself, how can you do it with others? Using NLP, a short term for that long word up there, one can talk to themselves and make themselves understand why we think some of the things we do and how to stop thinking about some of those things. Here's a little example of how to go about this. I want to stop eating a whole pint of ice cream at a time. I've grown up watching my mother do this, and in my head I think there has to be nothing wrong with it, since she did it. But my weight and blood sugar levels tell me that there is something wrong with what I'm doing. I need to stop. I need to make myself believe that what I've seen from my mother wasn't the truth or right. I have to have a heart-to-heart with myself about what is happening and what has happened in the past. I saw something, but that doesn't mean it was right. And this thing I saw may have hurt my mother's health too. She didn't communicate that to me. If she had, I might not have thought of eating all that ice cream at one time was a thing that was okay. By talking back and forth with myself, I've concluded that my mother didn't think she needed to tell me that eating all that was unhealthy. She had her reasons. Possibly no one had told her about the harmful aspects of what she was doing. Who knows? The thing is that I had a discussion with myself and taught myself that eating all that ice cream is unhealthy. Now that information is buried in my unconscious mind, and it's in my conscious mind too. So if things worked right, the next time I go to grab the whole pint out of the fridge, I'll stop, get a bowl and a spoon, and serve myself a reasonable amount of the cold, sugary treat. DIY awareness tests. Here are a few questions to help you think about what you've just read and learned. 1. If you were told by your parents that there is an Easter Bunny, does this mean you were raised by people with characteristics of the dark triad? 2. Can a used car salesperson exhibit characteristics of any of the big 3 neuroses that make up the dark triad? And what are they? 3. Have you been guilty of behaving in any of the ways that were mentioned in this chapter? And if so, then why do you think you acted that way? Chapter 2. Manipulation and Emotional Exploitation. Why me? Why do some people get taken advantage of and others don't? It seems like a crapshoot, I know, but it's really not. Everything happens for a reason. If you're gullible, then chances are there's something in your upbringing that made you that way. If you seek approval at all costs, chances are you couldn't find that in your childhood. As sad as it is, what happens to us in our younger years does more to shape us than anything else. Some children are nurtured. They had stable families with no traumatic upheavals, and they seem to have it all together. Here's the deal. No one has it all together. But some have it more together than others. If you're frequently the victim of manipulation, then you really need this book. You've got to learn to watch for signs of that whenever you're dealing with authority figures. You may not fall for it from everyone, but you may have had a harder time seeing it in people you're supposed to trust, your boss, your kids, and even your spouse. If people are often trying to sway you to their way of thinking or doing things for them that they should be doing for themselves, then you might have something you should be watching out for. Here's an example of a person who is being manipulated or emotionally exploited. Jane goes to work each day. She wants to do a great job and please her boss at all costs. One day, Jane is feeling ill. She's got a terrible headache and calls in to ask her boss for the day off. He tells her he can't spare her today. Just come in and do your best. Sounds reasonable, doesn't it? Only when Jane gets into work, she finds there are 2 extra people who've been scheduled to work too. They're actually overstaffed. So she goes in to tell her boss she really is feeling terrible, and since the place is overstaffed, can she please have the day off? She understands she's giving up the pay for that day. Still, he says he really needs her. She's a great worker. Sorry, she can't leave. And as a matter of fact, she needs to go scrape all the gum off the sales room floor, and after that, the toilets really need a good scrubbing. And then he needs her to drive downtown to pick up his lunch. He's a diabetic, and this is the only place that has those sugarless Twinkies he loves so much. It's his one treat for the entire day. He so needs it. Jane doesn't say what someone who refuses to be emotionally exploited does. She bows her head, tells him she'll do it all, and even thanks him before leaving his office. She could have handled things very differently. She could have done things in a way that would have made her boss see that she wasn't a person who could be taken advantage of nor manipulated. With just a few words said differently, she could have stayed home and taken care of herself. These words are simple, and unfortunately, people with the affinity to be emotionally exploited use them far too sparingly. Here they are, the magic words. I'm sick. I won't be coming in today. There is absolutely no reason to ask a question here. You are sick, and you won't be in. End of subject. When asked to do something you feel uncomfortable doing, unsafe doing, or that it's not your responsibility to do, here is what you say. No, I will not do that. When asked why you won't be doing it, here's the magic answer. Because I do not want to. Now, if you've been giving in to this person for some time, then you can expect some negative feedback. They do think they can manipulate you after all. Don't let them say too much. Cut them off with some quick words of your own, such as, you have my answer, goodbye. It takes practice, but staying true to yourself over being true to anyone else is important, and you can do it. The way I think about it is like this. If I'm sick and someone wants to keep pushing me to work anyway, I ask myself, would you die for this SOB? Usually my answer is no. Now, when it's a helpless little kid or helpless elderly person, I suck it up and do what needs to be done. Other than that, it can wait. Or someone else who isn't feeling sick can do it. Here are some ways people can manipulate you or emotionally exploit you and how to handle each situation. Love flooding. This is when someone is buttering you up to get you to do something that they know you won't want to do. They may come and lather you with affection, sweet kisses, hugs, nuzzles. Baby, I love you. Can you get up and do my laundry really quick so I can stay in bed and sleep? Normally, you might be nice and do it. But last night, you were up with the baby 6 times, and you've got an appointment with the dentist that you're not looking forward to after lunch. You don't want to get up and even start your day, much less someone else's, even if you truly love that other person. Here is how you handle this sweet talk, but still know that it's a manipulation. I love you, but our child kept me up, and I'm not looking forward to my day as it is, so no, you're on your own with your laundry. And as much as I love your affection, I'm not looking for any at this moment. I need my sleep. Night-night. Lying. Most people can't abide liars. I'm one of those people. I will bend over backward for you, but if I catch you lying to me, then that's over, and quick. Lying happens a lot when someone wants you to give them some money. Here's an example and how you handle it without getting duped. I hate to ask, but I don't have a dime to my name, and little Susie has a terrible cold. The medicine is only $10, but I don't have it. If I don't get some money, she'll suffer all night, and I don't get paid until Friday. That's 3 days away. I'm just worried about Susie is all, or I wouldn't even ask to borrow $20. I thought the medicine was $10. Yeah, it is, but while I'm out, I thought I'd pick up something to eat. You know, hamburgers, fries, a soda or two. Poor Susie is dying for her favorite junk food, too. Poor baby. All of a sudden, you see little Susie running around behind her mama's back, jumping off the furniture, laughing her head off. Now is your chance to do what's right. So you say, she looks fine to me. I would have bought that child's medicine had she been sick. Don't ask me for money anymore. Then walk away without looking back. Withdrawal. This is a hard one. When someone gives you the cold shoulder or shuts themselves off to you just because you won't do what they want, then it hurts. I don't care who you are or how tough you might be. When someone turns away from you only because you won't do what they want, it's a terrible manipulation and the epitome of emotional exploitation. It's easy to say, just don't let them get to you. But man, that's right at impossible. That is, until you realize why they're doing it. They want you to feel terrible for not giving in to them. They want to make you hurt. And for what? Most of the time, what they wanted doesn't amount to a hill of beans. Here's an example and how you should handle it. You come into the living room, your arms full of groceries you need to unpack and put away. Your mother is sitting in the living room doing her nails. "Can you run out and feed my dogs real quick?" "I can't, Mama. I've got to put these groceries away, and I've got another armload in the car. Then I've got to get to the school to pick up Ariel and get her to the doctor and get those warts of hers frozen off. Sorry." "My nails are wet. I wouldn't ask you if it wasn't important." "I'm sure your dogs won't die before your nails dry and you can get out there to feed them. Mama, I really am in a huge rush right now." "It's just a small favor. You're being selfish. The dog food is right there by the back door. You're right there by it. Now put one scoop in the pen for Fancy and then get a scoop out of the other bag for Bossy. He can't eat what Fancy does." "Mom, I know what they eat and how they eat it. I just don't have time right now. If you don't want to go outside, I'll feed them as soon as I get back home." The bottle of nail polish goes flying. Nothing but the sound of stomping is heard as the room is vacated. The sound of a door slamming is the last thing you hear. It's not the first time this has happened, and you know it won't be the last. What do? The last time she got mad like this, it was 3 days before she said one word to you. I've lived this. I've dealt with this over and over in my life. My mother was one person who did this to me, and my husband the other. I never learned how to deal with my mother, but you can bet I wasn't going to deal with this from my husband. So I learned how to handle people who try to manipulate me by using this tactic. Calmly, you go to where they've shut themselves off from you. You don't have to open the door, just speak calmly through it. You're upset. That's plain to see. I am busy. That is also plain to see. You can pout. You can keep your distance from me, and you can keep your words to yourself, too. You aren't hurting me, if that's what you were going for. You're hurting yourself. You deny yourself human interaction, and then you walk away. You don't go do what she wanted you to do. You go on about your business, and if she's still not talking when you get back, you reiterate to yourself that she is only hurting herself. You can't be hurt by that. Love denial. Much like withdrawal, love denial is when a person who loves you holds back that attention because you won't do something they want you to. You can use the same type of scene from above to deal with that person. You will still talk calmly to them and let them know that what they are doing is only hurting them and not you. They are the ones who are missing out on love and attention by acting the way they are. You have to stay strong here and remain calm. They learned this. It was done to them. Have empathy for that, but don't tolerate it. Don't give in to it. They will learn that at least you won't be manipulated by this action. Choice restriction. Many of us have done this with our children. We offer only the choices that we want them to take while ignoring the one we know they really want. For instance, little Sally is looking at the candy bars in the grocery store. We hold up grapes and apples. "Sally, you get to pick the treat today. Is it going to be apples or grapes?" With only the two things to pick from, she's stuck. But that's a child, and you're doing it for good purposes, not evil ones. Now you're a grown person and you want to eat Chinese for lunch. You and your sister are in the food court at the mall, and there are tons of choices. So it stuns you when your sister says, "Oh, I don't want Chinese today. I'll let you pick, though. Pizza or burgers? Go ahead, you get to pick." I'm pretty sure there aren't lots of you who even need to know what to say here, but I'll put it out there just in case. You say, "Get a grip, sis. I'm getting Chinese. You get whatever the heck you want." Reverse psychology. Again, many of us have used this method of manipulation on our own children and even grown individuals to get them to see things our way. You want your kid to put on their protective shoe coverings to go out into the rain. You know that your son hates to be told what to do. So you say, "It's pouring out, but I don't see any reason for you to put your galoshes on over your new shoes. They should be fine." "I don't want my shoes to get ruined, Mom. Gee whiz, I'm wearing them today." You smile. Mission accomplished. But what if it's happening to you? Your hubby would like his favorite shirt washed, but doesn't want to do it himself. He says, "Oh man, my favorite red shirt is dirty." He grabs up the red shirt and a handful of other clothes out of the hamper. Your white shorts and blouse are in the mix. "I'll just do a load. Don't worry, babe. I've got this." You might be overlooking the obvious. He's hoping you will see the whites and stop him, take over, do the load yourself. But you see what he's doing and stop him. Oh, here, let me take those whites. No reason for you to wash these with that red shirt. It'll turn them pink. There you go. You're good to go now, babe. He's left frowning as his ploy did not work, and you walk away with a smile on your face. Semantic manipulation. This one is pure torture. I am positive that you've said or been told, "I'm not going to argue semantics with you." This is when someone wants to use your words, turn them into pretzels, and do their level best to drive you insane. Think about any argument you've ever had with a child over doing their homework. But I thought the teacher meant next Tuesday, not today. Why would they expect me to be able to turn it in with only one night to finish it? Because it's only 3 lousy questions that would have only taken you 10 minutes to finish. You're out of your mind, and they're still trying to tell you what they thought. Although it's nearly impossible to shut this type of thing down quickly, you must try. A calm voice never fails to get someone's attention. Well, you were wrong about that. So here it is in nice, simple language for you. Do the questions now. Then walk away without saying another word. Don't listen to the rubbish that will surely pour from their lips. Just keep on walking. My best advice to you when you're faced with any type of manipulation at all is to walk away. Sometimes there are no words that will get through to a person. Sometimes you must just remove yourself from the equation. If words are a thing you find necessary, say them with a calm tone. Make it short and concise, and do not expect an answer. Walk away. Leave them on their own to think about what you said or did not say. Most of all, remember that this is their problem, not yours. Don't let it become your problem. DIY exercises. 1. You're busy at work, doing end-of-the-month reports only you can do. When your boss comes in, tells you to put that aside, for now, he needs you to run an errand for him. You can take the reports home to finish them on your own time. What do you tell him? 2. After you tell your husband that you can't stop what you're doing to cut his toenails right that minute, he storms out. What do you do? 3. Your son lies to you about where he was, and when you try to get onto him, he yells at you that you lie too. What about the Easter Bunny? What do you say? Chapter 3. How to sneakily get what you want. The power of persuasion is one way to get what you want, and it's not that evil to persuade people to do things, is it? Advertisements are powerful persuasions. Everyone uses ads to get what they want. Politicians use them, and companies use them. We've even used persuasion to get you to buy this book. So how bad can it be, really? When used for positive purposes, this power isn't anything bad. But when used for bad things, persuasion can get people into real trouble. The power of positive persuasion. When a friend has found something new, they really like it and want you to join them. We went on a trip to the river last summer, Gail. I think you'd love it. You should come with us this year. I don't care for water. What do you mean you don't care for water? Everyone loves water. And then there's these gorgeous sunrises and sunsets. You love those. I do love those, but the cost is probably too high for me. Is free too high, Gail? I said you could come with us, and there's lots of fun to be had while floating down the river. Floating? Oh no, it sounds dangerous. Donnie is only 5 and can't even swim, and he floated down it with us. I think you'll find it safe, fun, and relaxing. Plus, we barbecue each night. You love Alan's ribs, don't you remember? I do love his ribs. How long are we talking about? A week. Oh no, I can't be gone that long. What about my dog, Pookie? What would I do with her while we're gone? She can come too. It's pet friendly. Well, it seems you've persuaded me to go. Thanks. It sounds like it'll be lots of fun. The power of manipulative persuasion. Folks, we've got some great deals for you. Step right up and let me tell you all about these steak knives we've got on sale now. I have a set already. Thanks, though. No, wait, you don't have these knives. These knives are a must for every household. You don't want to be the only guy on your block with cruddy steak knives now, do you? Well, no, but mine are just fine. As fine as these? Just look how they shine, and boy can they cut too. Just look at them slice through this thick steak. Well, that's pretty good. They are shiny, but I've got some. See ya. Wait! What if I told you that these are the same type of knives they use in the White House? They're good enough for our president and his family and the visitors that go eat with them. So, why aren't they good enough for you? They are good enough for me. I just have some already. Why pass up this special offer? You don't know if you'll ever get this chance again. I'm only here for one day. I can't promise you that you'll ever get this chance again. It's the same knives as the White House uses. Don't you want to be a proud American? Oh, heck, give me a set. The power of helpful persuasion. You should totally try this blush, Peggy. It'll look so good on you. I haven't ever worn any makeup. I'm not sure how to put it on. I'll just make myself look like a clown if I try to wear any. Thanks, though. Nonsense. You'd look great with makeup on as long as you don't use too much. I can help if you want. I don't know. I've got this red hair and my skin is so pale. I've never been able to find anything to match my skin tone. You have alabaster skin. It's like God's gift, Peggy. Come on, we can go to the store and I can help you pick out all the right things. For about $100, I can get you all set up, and I promise to help you put it on and teach you how to do it so you can do it yourself. What do you say? You want to let me help you be a better you? Well, when you put it that way, how can I refuse? Thanks. The power of gentle persuasion. Good afternoon, Jimmy. How was school today? It was school. He tosses his school books onto the coffee table. Mom looks at them. So, do you have homework today? Always. He huffs as he tries to leave the room. But Mom has something to entice him into doing his homework now, instead of leaving it to the last minute, like he's always done. I've got some cookies I just baked. How about I get a plate of them and some nice cold milk, and you and I can tackle your homework together. You know, get it out of your way. Not now. You don't want any cookies? What? Cookies? You said something about cookies? She gets up to go to the kitchen. Yes, I'm going to get a plate of my freshly baked chocolate chip cookies and a couple of glasses of ice-cold milk. Why don't you take a moment to freshen up, splash some water on your face? I'll take the cookies and milk to the living room while you do that. That sounds nice, Mom. Moments later, they meet in the living room. Mom puts the things on the coffee table and picks up one of the books as Jimmy digs into the cookies and milk. Oh, you have an assignment in biology today? Yeah, it sucks. I used to love that class. Care if I take a look at the assignment? Go ahead, why should I care? Flipping to the marked page, she sees the assignment. Whales, huh? Would you look at this? They live to be over 100 years old. Can you imagine that? Really? He sits next to her, looking at the book with her. How do they know how old a whale can get? Not many people live to be that old. Well, let's see. She reads the chapter out loud to Jimmy, who listens intently. And then she asks him the questions at the end of the chapter. Maybe you should just jot the answers down to save you some time, Jimmy. Great idea. With Mom's gentle persuasion, Jimmy got his homework done. The power of sexual persuasion. I really should be going now. Why right now? We've got plenty of time. My laundry needs doing. He gently caresses her cheek. Laundry? I think you'll have time for that tomorrow, won't you? I thought we could open a bottle of wine and sit on the sofa and watch a movie together, just the two of us. Well, that does sound nice, but I really should be going. It's getting late. My bed has plenty of room if you'd like to stay over. He trails a line of kisses up one side of her neck. I won't kick you in my sleep, I promise. Fluffy probably needs to be let out. Don't you have a litter box for your cat? He snuggles closer to her. I'm sure she'll be fine until the morning. And it's snowing outside. You really should stay. It wouldn't be hospitable of me at all if I sent you out in this kind of weather. I think I'll be fine. I can light the fireplace. Another trail of kisses flows over her face. You'll be nice and warm here, in my arms, in my bed. Oh boy, do you know how to persuade a woman. The power of bad persuasion. I started my diet last night. Good for you, Marcia. I wish I could find the self-discipline to start a diet, too. Tatum picks up a donut from the box near the coffee pot at work. Marcia stares at the gooey treat as her friend takes a large bite. Yeah, I barely have had any cravings at all so far. Wow, how great is that? The donut drips some red jelly down Tatum's chin. Whoops. Marcia hands her a napkin. Here you go, Tatum. Thanks. Tatum wipes her chin. For lunch, me and some of the other girls from the office are all going to pitch in for pizza. Want to join in on the pizza party? She puts her hand to her mouth as she raises her brows. Oh, sorry, I forgot. Yeah, my diet doesn't allow pizza. Marcia holds up a brown paper bag. I brought a salad and some celery sticks from home. Thanks for inviting me, though. Walking to her desk, she pulls a soda out of the drawer as Marcia makes herself a cup of straight black coffee. I can't stand that tasteless coffee. I've got to have my soda. I've got an extra can of it here if you'd like it. Looking forlornly at the can of soda Tatum shows her, Marcia slowly shakes her head. It's not on my diet. What is on that diet anyway, Marcia? Twigs and berries? Berries? I wish. Marcia sighs heavily. I should get to work. A few hours later, Tatum shows up in Marcia's office with one piece of pizza. I saved you a slice. Come on, one slice of pizza won't hurt you, girl. I am starving. Marcia holds out her hand and takes the slice of pizza. Thanks, Tatum. Tatum looks at the bottle of water on Marcia's desk. Here, girl, have a soda, too. She pops it open. You only live once, right? And now Marcia's diet is a thing of the past. Just that easily. Thanks to Tatum's help and power of persuasion. The power of evil persuasion. Look, Joe, everyone is doing it. Yeah, but I still don't think I should. My wife and I have a lot of trust in each other. She's out of town, Joe. What she doesn't know won't hurt her. You know what I'm saying? And that girl hasn't stopped looking at you since we came into this bar. Yeah, I shouldn't even still be here. I told my wife I'd get one drink with you guys from work, and then I'd get home and feed the dog. Butch is probably starving by now. I really should go. I ain't trying to be a Budinsky, Joe, but I've seen your wife. She's nice and all, but a little on the plump side and not so easy on the eyes. Hey, that's my wife you're talking about. I didn't mean no harm, Joe. I'm just saying you and your wife got married right out of high school, right? Yeah, we were high school sweethearts. She's been the only girl for me. Well, that's what I'm saying. She's been your only girl. You got no one to compare her to. And don't even get me started on how boring life would be if all you ever got to eat was vanilla pudding, Joe. And there's a nice cream pie who's just standing there looking at you, waiting to be tasted. I'm not saying to eat the whole pie, Joe. I'm just saying that you should take a taste of it. Of her. What your wife doesn't know won't hurt her, right? Here, have another cocktail to help you get these pesky morals out of your way, Joe. Another drink? When did you order this? Just a little while ago. Now that drink cost me $5, Joe. I expect you not to waste it. Oh, would you look here? She and her equally as tasty friend are headed our way. I tell you what, Joe. Just to make it easier for you, I'll take her friend. That way you won't be all alone in this. We'll both be doing it. No one will ever know, Joe. No one. I'll know. Not if I buy you a few more drinks, you won't. What would you do? 1. If you were in Joe's situation, what would you do? 2. If you were in Marcia's situation, what would you do? 3. If you were being persuaded to do something you wanted to do but knew that you shouldn't, what would you do? Chapter 4. Never buy a pig in a poke. Deception is something we have to deal with every day. The old pig in a poke saying refers to the idea that we shouldn't purchase something that we can't see for ourselves. Trusting what someone says about anything isn't always the best practice. With buying so many things off the internet in recent times, I'm sure everyone has gotten something they didn't intend to get when making purchases off the World Wide Web. Even when you buy something at the store that's packaged in a way that you can't see the contents has disappointed most of us one time or another. With deception being such a huge part of life, what can we do, if anything, to avoid being duped? And how can we stop lying to ourselves? When we catch ourselves lying, I sat there watching my coworkers coming into the building I was a security guard at. Being that the company was small, we all knew each other, and most of us got along well. One by one, everyone trickled into the building to get to their respective offices. When I saw Jenny from accounting getting out of her car in the parking lot, I gasped. She'd not only dyed her hair, she'd gotten it cut, too. One of those cuts where half of her head was shaved and the other half was all choppy. And the dye job was something out of a horror movie, too. Blues and reds and even purples. For a moment, I had to run through my mind what day it was. April Fool's? Halloween? Nope. Jenny came in, her lips pressed in a hard line as she looked nervous. "Hi, Amy." "Hi, Jenny." I tried not to stare or let my mouth agape. She ran her hand through the side of her hair where she still had some. "I went for a new look." "I see that. It's been a thing I've wanted to do for a while now." "It has?" "Yeah. I'm going to audition for a music show next week." "And you thought this would help?" "Yeah." "Oh. So what do you think about it?" She twirled around so I could see the back, and I saw that a tic-tac-toe design had been shaved into her hair just above her backbone. "And be honest, please." Now, how in the world could I be honest with this woman? "Since you're going to be auditioning for that music show, I think you must have done the right thing." There. That's not too much of a lie. "But what do you think about it? Is it a good look for me?" It's not a good look for anyone. But I couldn't say that. Yeah, it looks great. You really stand out now, Jenny." "Thanks, that's exactly what I was going for." "Well, you've accomplished it all right." So I couldn't get out of lying to her. Sue me. When we lie for a good reason. "Look, Mom, I know you and Dad never told us about the Easter Bunny or Santa Claus." "Those are lies, and in our house we don't tell lies, sissy." "I know, but Rob and I want Sam and Lola to get to have those little fantasies that all the other children their age are getting to have. It's not fair for our 4-year-olds to be left out of the holidays just because you and Dad don't want to bend the truth a little." "Bend it? You mean break it into smithereens, don't you? Or have you forgotten that those things don't exist at all and never have?" "Mom, I really don't want to argue." You are to smile and just nod when the kids talk about the Easter Bunny or Santa. Got it? No way. It's an out-and-out lie, and I won't do it. Then I guess you can't ever see your grandchildren until they get too old to believe in those kinds of things. And just so you know, Sam lost a tooth earlier today, and the tooth fairy will be paying him a visit tonight after he goes to sleep. Why are you doing this to us? All we ever did was be honest with you. What's the big deal? Why can't you just do the same things with your kids that we did with you and your brother? Because my husband got to have Santa and all the rest of the mythical creatures, and his childhood sounds like a dream come true to me, Mother. So what's it going to be? See your grandkids now, or wait until they're 10 or so. You win, you beast. You mean the kids win, Mom. When lies sell. I took my 16-year-old son to buy his first car. He had $5,000 he'd worked hard for, and he was ready to make the purchase. We'd come a long way to see a car that a man was selling from his home. As we pulled up to the place, I had my doubts right away. "I knew it, Timmy. This place is a dump. There's no way this man has a car that's only 4 years old and in pristine condition for what you've got to pay. We should just go and not waste our time." "Dad, please." Timmy begged with pleading eyes. "Can we just take a look at it?" I didn't want to disappoint my son, but I knew this man wasn't going to be anything but a snake in the grass. "You'll see, son. Consider this a lesson in deceptive selling practices." "Maybe it's not, Dad. The picture looks great. You saw it. That Mustang looked like it was brand new." "Yeah, and things in that kind of condition don't ever come so cheap. But you'll see." We got out and headed to the front door. When a pit bull came around the corner of the house only to be stopped by the chain he had on, we both came to a stop. "Whoa," Timmy said. "What a dog, huh, Dad?" I knew there was something not on the up and up with this man, and the dog just proved it that much more. "We really should go, son." The front door opened, and there stood a short man wearing shorts, no shirt, and sunglasses. "Hey, you must be little Timmy who called about the Mustang. You ready to ride, homeboy?" "I sure am." Timmy looked around. "Where's the car, Mr. Smith?" He pointed out back to where a nearly falling down garage stood in the back of the house. "In there. You don't leave something like that out on the street. Let's go take a look at it." "Can you drive it out here?" I asked as I took hold of my son's arm to stop him from running off after the man we didn't know at all. He stopped and looked at me with his head tilted to one side. No. This way, please." I made Timmy stay back with me. We barely moved as we followed the man, and I whispered, "I really think this is a terrible idea. We should just leave. I can say that I got a phone call and it's an emergency." "No, Dad, come on. You're acting like a chicken." Timmy rolled his eyes. "I'm not a chicken. I'm just not stupid." The man opened a door on one side of the garage. "Come on, it's in here." "Why don't you open up the large garage door?" I asked warily. "We will want to take it for a test drive if he likes it." "Oh, well, I can't let you drive it. You can start it, and if Timmy wants it, then he can drive it out of here, once I have the cash in hand." "Oh, great." Timmy hurried to go inside the dark garage as I tried to keep up. His eyes were on the prize. "Oh, wow, look, Dad, it's just like the picture. It's gorgeous." I had to admit, there was a car sitting in that dingy, ramshackle garage that matched the picture we'd seen on the texts the man had sent to Timmy. "It certainly looks like the same car." "Oh, it is the same car," Mr. Smith told me. "It's ready to go, too. I've got it all filled up with gas. That way you don't have to stop on your way out of town. You could just get in the car and drive all the way back to your home. Timmy said it was 5 hours away. Is that right?" "Yeah, that's right." I had the feeling something wasn't exactly right with the car. "And you only want $5,000 for this car. Can I ask why the low price? What's wrong with it?" "Nothing is wrong with it." He ran his hand over the shiny black paint. "It's a beauty. And I just want to give this kid a great deal on his first car. He told me how hard he's worked for that money. Normally, I'd charge over $10,000 for a car this nice. But for Timmy, I seem to have gotten a soft spot in my heart for him." My son jumped into the driver's seat and then got back out. Where's the key?" "Oh, we lost it, but you can use that screwdriver on the passenger seat to start it up. It runs great. Try it out." The man looked at me as he shrugged. "My wife, she's no good with small items. She lost them all the time. She lost the keys this morning." "Dad, how do I do this?" my son called out as he attempted to understand how the screwdriver could start the car. "Timmy, get out of the car, son." I looked at the man who was trying to sell my kid an obviously stolen car. "Look, you're not dealing with some idiot here. This is a stolen car. We'll be on our way." Timmy was suddenly at my side, clutching my arm as he pleaded, "No, Dad, please, what's wrong? We can get another key, please." "The car's not stolen," Mr. Smith assured me. "I swear." "Dad, please," Timmy cried. "This car is like a dream come true for me." "I've got a deal for you, Timmy. If Mr. Smith has no problem with me giving the local police station a call to see if they can send an officer over here to run the VIN number and make sure this car isn't stolen first, then I'll let you buy it." Mr. Smith went pale. See, I don't get along with some of the officers on our local police force, but my cousin is a security guard. How about if he okays the car?" Timmy broke into a smile. "Sounds good to me, Mr. Smith. I trust you 100%. "I don't. No cop, no car." I crossed my arms over my chest. "Do we have a deal?" The man shook his head. "Sorry, no deal." I took hold of my son's arm as he drags his feet. "Come on, Timmy. This isn't the car for you." "But, Dad!" I leaned in close to whisper, "It's stolen, son." "I don't even care," Timmy said. "So you would give this man your hard-earned money just to drive this car until the police found out it was stolen and came to take it from you to give back to the rightful owner?" "What if they never found out?" Timmy winked at me. "I won't tell if you don't." "Get your hind end into my car. We're going to have a very long talk on the 5-hour trip home, boy." When lies hurt. "So, tell me why you said it then if you never meant it." "I'm sorry, I really am. I just felt like I had to say it. You'd said it, so I felt like I needed to say it back to you." "Even though it was a lie? Didn't you think that I would figure out that you didn't really love me? Especially when I saw you with that other man." "I don't know what I was thinking. I never meant to hurt you." "Well, it does hurt. You told me that you loved me. I believed you. I went and bought you an engagement ring. That's how much I believed you." I was ready to marry you. I didn't know that. I wouldn't have said yes to a marriage proposal. Sure, you'd just lie to me about loving me. I get it. I never meant to hurt you. It doesn't matter how many times you say that. It still hurts. When lies make you laugh. I came into the kitchen to find my 3-year-old daughter with chocolate all over her face. Della, did you get into the chocolate cake that I have in the refrigerator? No, Mommy, you said not to, so I didn't get into it. I opened the fridge to find the cake now on the bottom shelf, and a whole handful had been taken out of it. Well, did you happen to see who stuck their hand in the cake and who also moved it off the shelf I had it on? She swayed back and forth, oblivious to the chocolate cake left on her face and hands. Maybe a robber did that. You think someone broke into our house and robbed us of a handful of chocolate cake? She nodded. Uh-huh. I guess I should call the police. Yeah, you should, 'cause that's not right to steal someone's cake. Can you describe the person who came in and took the cake? I asked her as I took my phone out. Yes, I think it was a tall man with a mustache and some suspenders that looked like rainbows. Really? I tried not to laugh. And what should I tell the police about why you have chocolate cake on your face and hands? And what about those handprints on the fridge, too? They're small, just like your hands are. She looked at the chocolatey prints on the fridge she just seemed to notice. Oh, those, yeah. He had tiny hands, too. And your face and hands? I asked. How did they get the stolen cake on them? Well, Mommy, it was really sad. He threw the handful of cake at me. It hit me in the face, and I had to use my hands to wipe it off. So, this robber broke into our house, and he stole some cake, and he did that just so he could throw it at you. I had to struggle to keep the smile off my face as she was dead serious. She shrugged. I guess he had some issues, Mommy. That was it. I broke into laughter as she just stared at me like I was insane. When lies are devastating. So, where were you then, Joe? I was at the bar, I told you that. I mean the rest of the night, Joe. You didn't spend the night at the bar. Look, I got drunk and slept in my car, okay? I didn't want to tell you that. I didn't want to admit to doing that. You were out of town on that business trip, and I was out with the guys from work for the first time since I started working there. And one thing led to another, and I had too much to drink. You know I don't ever drink. I think I only had 3 or 4, but they were too much for me. I came home early, Joe. I drove past the bar you said you were going to, and there were no cars in the parking lot. I came home and you weren't here. Did I say I stayed in the parking lot? No, I did not. I drove a little way. They knew I was too drunk to drive. I pulled into an apartment complex that's not too far from the bar. And you want to tell me that you fell asleep in your car? You never got out of it? You never went into anyone's apartment to spend the night? That's right. I fell asleep in my car, and when I woke up, it was light outside, so I started it and came home. You didn't know anyone who lived in that apartment complex, Joe? Not a woman named Natasha. No, I don't know anyone named Natasha. I did what I said, and I don't appreciate getting treated like this. Like what, Joe? Like a liar. See, here's the thing, Joe. Our marriage is on the line here. Do you realize that? I don't see why it would be. I was out. I had too much to drink, then slept in my car. There's nothing to divorce over. If you had done that, then you are right. There would be nothing to divorce over. But you're lying to me, Joe. To add to the humiliation and betrayal of what you've done to me, now you want to stand here and lie to my face. What makes you think I'm lying to you? What makes you think I would do anything to jeopardize our marriage? My best friend lives next door to Natasha, Joe. When I got home and couldn't find you, I saw a text that I hadn't noticed that had come in from her earlier in the night. She asked me if I was aware that you and another man wearing a suit and tie just like you were visiting the girls who live next door to her. I was not aware of that, so I called her up and guess what, Joe? She was still up. Want to know why? Not really. Well, I'm going to tell you anyway. She was up because the noise from her next-door neighbors and their guests was so loud she could not sleep. She told me I should come over. So you went to her place last night after you got home? I did. I went over to her place and I saw your car parked in front of Natasha's apartment, Joe. I looked in your car to make sure you weren't there. I used the key I have to it and unlocked it, opened it up so I could be sure you weren't in it anywhere, not even in the trunk. I wanted to be thorough, Joe. And you're sure that was my car? My key worked on it. Yes, I am sure it was your car. Your blue suit jacket had been left on the passenger seat. Red lipstick stained the collar. I don't recall any of that. Do you recall a woman screaming your name in the throes of passion over and over, Joe? I do not recall anything like that, no. I had no choice. I picked up my cell phone, showed him the picture of his car, showed him the picture of him leaving the apartment in the sun's early morning light, and then I let him hear the recording I'd made. Get out, Joe. Our marriage is over. When we have to lie. My husband came to me one day after work. He looked worried, nervous, and very anxious. You look awful. What's going on? Where are the kids? Playing with the neighbor kids next door. Why? They can't hear what I've got to tell you. No one can. I wasn't sure I wanted to hear what he had to say. Although I'm probably going to regret hearing it. What is it? I figured it couldn't be that bad. I had an accident today. He ran his hand over his face. My car's totaled. My heart raced. What do you mean? How can that be? Why didn't you call me? I couldn't call you. I didn't need to call you. It was taken care of. How? I was lost. I'm not who I've said I am. And things have changed. We've got to move. He was acting nuts, talking crazy. Maybe he'd hit his head in the accident or something. I don't understand. I wasn't taking the kids and moving. I wasn't going to listen to his crazy talk. He grabbed me by my arms, holding me tight. I'm not going to be able to stay here anymore. You and the kids have to come with me. It's a matter of life and death. The doorbell rang and panic filled my husband's eyes. Why do you look like that? You can't tell anyone that I'm here. You haven't heard from me. Got it? Why? There's no time to explain. You don't know where I am. If they ask you to call me, then do it. I won't answer and you will just stick to your story. You haven't heard from me since I left for work this morning. I won't lie to the police. If you hurt someone in that accident, then you have to face what you've done. I wasn't going to let him hide from what he'd done. It's not the police. It's the mafia. Now do as I've told you to, or they will kill me, then you, and then they will kill our children. I couldn't believe him. I walked to the door as he went to hide in the cellar. 3 men in black suits stood at my door. One of them asked, Is your husband around? No, I haven't heard from him since he left for work this morning. Exercises in morality. You hit a car in the parking lot of a large grocery store. No one saw you do it. You look around, and there are no cameras. What do you do? 2. One night you're out with friends, drink a bit too much, and end up kissing a coworker that your husband has always accused you of having a thing for. Do you tell him what you've done? 3. Your sister comes to see you. She's gained a lot of weight since you've seen her last. She tells you that you look great and asks how she looks. What do you say? Chapter 5. Covert Takeovers. Covert hypnosis might sound like something that just wouldn't work. After all, a person has to be aware of things if they are going to be hypnotized. The back and forth action of an old pocket watch, repeated words, you're getting sleepy, those kinds of things can't be done without the subject knowing what you're trying to do. Earlier, we talked about NLP. Some of the people who practice this claim to be able to contact the unconscious mind of others. Manipulating thoughts of others without others being aware of what they are doing is what covert hypnosis is. Of course, with something this sinister, there are huge controversies surrounding the subject. But I'm not here to debate things. I'm here to give you some ideas on how covert hypnosis could work. Then you can decide if it's real or made up just to scare people. Using sleep deprivation to get people to do what you want. Who of us hasn't ever been sleep deprived? I know I have, and I know my brain felt like cold jello inside my head. Whatever anyone told me I'd done, I simply agreed. I'd spent a sleepless night with a sick baby. Just as I would doze off, there would go the crying again. I'd get up, walk with him, sit and rock with him, and nothing would work. So I ended up in the living room, walking, rocking, watching television just to try to keep my eyes open. Morning came, everyone else got up, and my husband came to me with the television remote in his hand. "Found this in the fridge next to the butter. Care to explain?" I didn't do it. I had no recollection of even going to the kitchen, much less carrying the remote and putting it in the fridge. No one else was up. You and little John were the only ones. I don't think our 6-month-old did it. He laughed. It's okay. You were out of it. Still are by the looks of things. He gestured to my bathrobe that hung off my nearly naked body. I'll take him, and you go take a shower. Glad to hand the baby over, I went to the shower, and while under the hot water, I really tried to recall when I had put the remote in the fridge. I had no recollection whatsoever of doing it. My job as a detective had me thinking I might try this on some of my perps to get them to admit to things they'd done. So I took on my first perp that next week. He'd been brought in on suspicion of human trafficking. I really wanted to get him, so I had him brought into an interrogation room, and there I let him sit for 3 hours. Every time he laid his head down, I had an officer go in and wake him up, telling him I was on my way and I would be there soon. Once I saw the signs of fatigue, the drooping eyes, the glazed look, the body that slumped and couldn't sit up straight no matter what, I went in. "Hi, sorry for the wait." "Yeah, it's been a while, and this wooden chair ain't all that comfy." "Yes, I know. I apologize. I just had lots to take care of. So I'll make this quick. You were found with some items: rope, zip ties, duct tape, and even some chloroform." "Yeah, me and my girlfriend like to get kinky." "Is that so?" "Yeah, so can I go now?" "Not yet." I tapped on the desk, nice and slow, repetitive. I watched out of the corner of my eye as his eyes got droopier and droopier. "What did you say your girlfriend's name was again?" I think I said Rosa." He hadn't even been asked that question. "Yeah, Rosa." I jotted that down, still tapping the desk in the same fashion. "And you bought that stuff we found in your trunk at the fast break?" If that's what I said, yeah." "Did I ask you that?" I kept tapping. "Didn't you?" I can't recall, but you did buy that stuff at fast break." I wrote that down. "At noon earlier today." "Yeah." He looked down at the table. "Or no. No, I didn't do that. I didn't buy that stuff there. I bought it online." I smiled, happy to have him telling me some truths. "No, you said you bought it at fast break. I asked you about that when I first came in. Don't you remember that?" "Oh, yeah, sure." Waiting a moment, I asked, "And you said your girlfriend is Sally?" He nodded. "Yeah." I had him right where I wanted him. "So that is Sally that was in the car with you when you were picked up?" "Sure, Sally." "And she was in on the whole playing Mr. Gray thing?" "Yeah." "Then why did she run when the cops showed up?" "I told her to." "Why?" "So she wouldn't talk." "And why didn't you want her to talk?" "You know." "Oh, yeah, because of what you said earlier." "What did I say earlier?" "How she and you were looking for girls to add to your party. You know, as you said, you wanted to show them a good time too, and how fun it is to pick up random women who don't know a thing. They're scared at first, but then they get into it, and before they know it, they like doing it, and it doesn't bother them at all that men pay you so they can do with them whatever they want." "Yeah, and they get a room and food too. Like, they're winning, you know?" "Sure. They get a job, and you get money too. A win-win, right?" He nodded. "Sure, a win-win. I find them on the street or in a club, and they get a new life. They love it." "And you said you keep them at the Shady Motel, right?" "Did I say that?" He shook his head. "I'm beat. I messed up. I meant the Limelight Motel." I knew I had used some serious mind games on the man, and I knew we were about to find some missing girls and put this man away for a long time. Playing on old fears to get people to do what you want. I know this wasn't the right thing to do. I had come in late, knew the rules about my curfew, and knew I couldn't get grounded for the week. I had other things to do, important things. So I did what I had to do to stay out of trouble. Curfew was 2 a.m. I was pulling into our driveway at 4 a.m., 2 hours late. My mother was already up, drinking coffee in the living room. She'd turned on the overhead light in the living room, and the porch light too. She was ready and waiting for me to arrive. I knew I was in for it, and big time. So what could I do to circumvent the consequences of my actions? Lie? Bring up ancient fears in my mother? Win? With it still being dark outside, I had that to my advantage. Unseen monsters could still be lurking around that my mother wouldn't be able to see. And with her active imagination and penchant for freaking out over the smallest of things, I used what I knew to my advantage. Getting out of the car, racing to the front door, I rushed inside, closing the door behind me. "Oh my God, did you see it, Mom?" With my frightened demeanor, my mother already looked a little worried. "What are you talking about? I didn't see anything. Do you know what time it is? Mom, you didn't see that black dog? I think it might have been that stray lab that we saw a few days ago. Remember? It was lurking around in the brush down the street. Mom, it jumped out at the car when I drove by it. I didn't see it at first, and I nearly hit it. But I managed to miss it. Then it chased me. I'd slowed way down so I wouldn't hit it, and that dog was biting at my taillights. Mom, it wouldn't stop barking and growling and biting at the car, and it wouldn't stop chasing me." "Oh, Lord!" She jumped up and went out to look out the window. "I don't see anything. Did it damage the car?" "I don't really know for sure. It was biting at the bumper and the tires." I recalled an old story my mother had told me about seeing a dog with rabies when she was a kid. "Mom, I think it was foaming at the mouth." "No." She locked the door. "Maybe it has gotten rabies and gone mad." "Yeah, that's what I was thinking." I went to get myself a bottle of water and acted like I was trying to calm down. "Man, that was really scary." "Oh, I know. I'm shocked that you got out of the car." She kept looking out the window. "I just hope it hears something else and runs off. Dogs with rabies just go after the next thing making noise. It drives them nuts when they hear anything. That's why it bit at the car and wouldn't leave it alone. And had you made enough noise, it would have taken off after you." I was being as quiet as I could when I got out of the car. I made sure I didn't see it, but I think I heard it still biting at the bumper. I sat on the sofa, pulling the blanket off the back of it and propping my head on the armrest. "I better sleep in here with you, just in case you see it. I won't be able to rest if I think you might actually go out there and try to kill it." "No, I'll call the police if I see it. They'll come to take care of it." She sat back down, picking up her coffee cup with shaking hands. "But I'd rather you be in here anyway. I heard a story once about a rabid dog who jumped through a window. The windows in your bedroom go almost all the way to the floor. You get some sleep. I'll keep a watch out for it. Poor dog. I feel terrible for it. It's in such pain right now." "Yeah, it is. Night, Mom." "Night, sweetie. You just rest now. I know how traumatic that must have been for you." "Thanks, Mom. I love you." Mission accomplished. Using panic to make people do what you want. Case study. The perp used panic to incite a mass evacuation from the Center for Performing Arts. The night was calm. A string quartet played softly as the nearly filled stadium of people hummed along. The scene, one of serenity. So what could possibly happen to get all of these people to scramble to anywhere but inside the safety of that building? And more importantly, why would anybody want to do such a thing? I had a lot of questions and no answers, but I was going to get to the bottom of things. Thankfully, I had the woman who had pulled off the terrible feat in custody. She was tired and willing to talk, finally. All of 5 feet tall, the small woman didn't look like someone who went around creating mass chaos on the regular. "So tell me why you did it, Tiffany." "He left me." She stared at the floor. "He'd told me I was nothing but a fly on the wall, too quiet, too small, too useless." "He? Who is he?" The young, maybe 30-ish, plain woman with hair cut in a page boy fashion wasn't much to look at. She did kind of fade into the woodwork, and it seemed that she designed her look to do just that. "He, my first boyfriend. When we first met, he said he liked how quiet I was. He said he was done with flamboyant women who caused big scenes. He liked me for who and what I was. But then he left you and said unkind things to you before he did that. I knew that could really hurt a person. But why go out and try to get others to hurt themselves? How long ago did he leave you, Tiffany?" "A month ago." Her red-rimmed eyes slowly came to meet mine. "Yesterday I saw him and his new girlfriend. I accidentally bumped into him at the park. She told me off." "His new girlfriend told you off yesterday?" I could see how that would ignite a fire in anyone. "She's like almost 6 feet tall. and really loud and obnoxious. She told me ugly things about my height. She called me a troll. She had to stop and sigh. Well, you know you're not a troll. You're a beautiful young woman, Tiffany. I always tried to make anyone I talked to feel better. So what you're telling me is that she upset you. She upset you so much that you felt you had to do something big. Is that right? Nodding, she went on. She poked me in the shoulder, then pushed me down, and he just watched her do it to me. She told me I couldn't do a thing to her. She told me that the man I had once loved was done with me. He had her now, and he was so happy. He'd been miserable with me, is what she said. And when I looked into his eyes, he nodded. Then he finally said something to me. And what was that? He told me that I would never amount to anything, and that no one would ever even know so much as my name. Well, they will now, won't they? Yes, they will. Only because you're going to go to prison for what you did, Tiffany. So, her eyes went back to the floor. I don't care. At least those two will have to see my face on the television. They will hear my name. Everyone will. I had one more thing I had to know. Tiffany, seeing as you've confessed to this crime, I'd like it if you would tell me how you got all of those people to run out of that building. Easy. A slight smile curled her lips. I started that panic with one word. Bomb. I was in the bathroom, and there were other women in there, too. I came out of the stall, acting freaked out, and pointed at the empty stall as if something were really in it. Then I shouted with panic in my voice, Bomb! They all ran, screaming, shouting the word bomb over and over again. I made them all say the same word. I made them all run. I did that. Me. Little old me. See? I can make things happen when I really want to, can't I? Using threats to get people to do what you want. Dolly, can you run to the bank for me? I need this check deposited this afternoon, and I won't be able to take off from work until after lunch. Sure. I got up from my desk and went to get the check from my coworker. While I'm out, do you want a coffee? That would be awesome. You're a doll, Dolly. Nancy always said that little phrase. Thank you. I never got tired of hearing it either. I liked to be of help to others. I'd had a tough childhood. My parents had died in a car crash when I was 10. There were no relatives to take me in, so I was put into foster care. Passed from one family to another, I felt left out. A lot. And I had to put up with being picked on most of the time, too. Now that I was grown, living on my own, I made it my goal in life to help others to try to put a good spin on my bad past. I'd said to myself that I wouldn't let all that negative rub off on me. I would show the world that one could go through adversity when young and still come out without being broken. The bank wasn't too far from the building I worked as an administrative assistant in. I walked the 5 blocks to put my coworker's check in the bank. The company I worked for used the same bank as my coworker did. Making weekly deposits for my employer had me knowing pretty much all of the bank tellers by name, and they knew mine too. The bank was busy, as it was a Friday. I got in line at the bank and waited patiently. When the door opened only a few seconds later, I felt a chill run through me. Then a man came up behind me, way too close. I tried to take a step forward to give us more space, but I found him grabbing my arm, then felt something against my back. His words came out quietly near my ear. Just be calm and quiet and you won't get hurt. Panic filled me, but the thing I instinctively knew was that a gun was pressed against my back and I wasn't going to do anything to get myself shot. I'll do anything you want, just please don't hurt me or anyone else. Don't worry, as long as you do as I say, I won't hurt you or anyone else, but you've got to do everything I tell you to, or I won't only kill you. He jerked his head at a little girl who was sitting in the common area alone, waiting on one of her parents to get through with their banking business. I'll kill that little girl, too. My heart stopped. No. I knew he must have something horrible he wanted me to do. Yes. He slipped something into my hand. Give the teller this note when they call you up. I'm going to be right there, sitting right across from that little girl while you take care of my business for me. There's a girl sitting in a black Mustang at the far left corner of the bank. You take what the teller gives you and toss it into the passenger window of that car. It will be rolled down. From there, you take off running through the back parking lot. They know me here. That doesn't matter to me at all. You just do what I say, and everyone will leave here alive. If you don't, then even if I miss hitting you, I will hit that little girl." I was next in line as he left me, going to take a seat right across from that little girl. My mind raced with what else I could do besides rob the bank. I wasn't sure if I would go to jail over that or not. I knew if anything happened to that little girl, I would most likely want to kill myself. My turn came. Annette smiled at me. "Hi, Dolly. How can I help you today?" I held the paper in one hand and the check to deposit in the other. I've got a check to deposit." I slid the check and the deposit slip to her, then waited as she did the transaction. "It's nice outside today. Did you walk over?" she asked. I did walk over. I cut my eyes to find the little girl was still there, playing on a cell phone, unaware that the man who sat only 4 feet away from her could kill her at any second. "Well, that's it. Here's the receipt, Dolly." I took it, put it in my pocket, then breathed in nice and deep. "I've got this for you too, Annette." I put the note on the counter. She looked at it, then slipped it under her computer. "Oh, I see. Okay, let me handle that for you." I watched as she hit the panic button just underneath the counter. "Are hundreds fine, Dolly?" "Yes." I hadn't read the note. I had no idea what amount of money I was robbing from that bank. All I knew was that I was saving a life. "I'll put this in an envelope for you, Dolly." Annette looked at me, dipping her head to get me to look at her. $50,000, that's right? I nodded. "Yes." She smiled. "Dolly, it's going to be okay." She barely cut her eyes to the man who sat in the common area. "Do what you were told to do. Everything's going to be okay." I nodded as I took the money, then tried not to run out of the bank in a panic. I saw the car he'd told me about and went as calmly as I could to it, then tossed the envelope full of hundreds into the open passenger window. The woman driving backed out and then drove off. I didn't run. I waited, hiding in the bushes near the place I knew the man would walk out. When he came out, I stopped breathing as he got into another car, then drove away. I wasn't leaving. Didn't want to. I would wait for the police. A moment later, the little girl and her mother came out. I finally left my hiding place in the bushes. "Excuse me," I said. The mother stopped as the child kept walking to the car. "I did it for her. If anyone asks you, if anything happens to me, I did it so your daughter wouldn't be shot." "What?" She looked confused. The sounds of sirens came floating on the summer breeze. "I did it for her. I robbed the bank for her." "Get into the car, Jackie," the woman screamed. The police cars came screeching into the parking lot. One of them was going so fast they couldn't stop in time. The little girl was in the middle of the parking lot. "No!" I stumbled back, my mind numb. I couldn't take it all in. "I did it for her, all for her. Why?" The girl's mother rushed to her daughter, but it was too late. The police car had run right over her. The officer had never seen her as he was looking directly at me. One day later, I couldn't take it anymore. That's why I left this note, to let everyone know why I robbed the bank and why I took my own life 24 hours later. Using confusion to get people to do what you want. As I sat in the back of the police car, a warm blanket wrapped around me, I knew I would be okay now. It was all over. An officer got into the front seat, closing the door. "It's cold out there. We'll be out of here soon. Don't worry. We've got him. And the rest of the girls, too." "Good." I pulled the blanket around my scantily clad body a bit tighter. "My family must be worried sick about me. I've lost track of time. I don't know how long he had me." "Your parents came in to tell the police that you had been missing since April 2nd. That's 8 months, Stacy." Wow. 8 months had passed, and I was barely aware of that. "How'd he do it, Stacy?" the cop asked me. "How'd he get you to go with him?" It didn't seem real that I fell for it all, but I had. I was walking out of a grocery store. It was about 9 at night. I'd picked up a frozen pizza to make it home. My shift had just gotten over. I worked there. "Yeah, we know you worked at the grocery store. We know that a man came up to you, and you two talked. Then you went with the man." He shook his head as if he couldn't believe it. "Why would you go with a strange man, Stacy? Your parents said it's not like you at all to go off with strangers." He was convincing. I shook as I recalled the exact words. "Hey lady, you work here?" a man asked me as I came out of the grocery store I worked at. "Yes, I work here. What can I help you with?" Even off the clock, I was still an employee at heart. "I'm having trouble with my car," he said. "Oh, I'll go back inside and ask one of the guys to help you out. I don't know a thing about cars. Sorry." I stopped to go back inside to see if I could get some man to help the guy. "That would be awesome." He reached out and touched my arm, halting my actions. "But I've got this baby girl with me, and she's crying like crazy, too. My wife, her mama, is back home, and I don't know what to do. Maybe you could sit in the car with her while I go inside and find another guy to help me out. Do you think you could do that for me?" Something told me not to do it. I felt a rush of cold move through my body. "Oh, I'm not sure." All of a sudden, the man's cell phone went off. Shit! The ringtone was kind of odd, chaotic, and loud. I froze as he took the phone out of his pocket. "Honey, I'm trying to hurry." I could hear someone crying on the other end of the line. "Baby, I know you're sick. I'm trying to get the medicine. I'll be back as soon as I can. The damn car broke down on me." More crying and shouting on the other end of the line. Then he said, "I'm sorry, I'm trying. I just need help." "I'll go sit with the baby," I offered as the man seemed to be on the verge of tears, and the woman on the phone was already in tears. I had no idea what was going on in their lives, but it sounded tragic. "Show me where the car is." "Thank you. You're an angel sent from above." He walked toward the back of the parking lot, and I walked along beside him. "Honey, this nice lady is helping now. I'm sure we'll be home soon. Try to rest until we get there. I love you, babe." He ended the call and put the phone back into his jeans pocket. "Wow, it sounds like you all are having a really hard time." I saw the hood open on the one car parked in the back row. "What's wrong with the car? It just won't start, or what?" "Yeah, it won't start is all." He stopped at the back of the car. "Thanks a lot. We are having a really hard time. You can get into the back seat there. Little Lila is in her car seat. It's quiet. Sounds like she might have fallen asleep. Thank the Lord above. If you'll just get in and sit there in case she wakes up, I'll run back in and get some help." "Sure, no problem at all." I opened the back passenger side door and saw an infant's car seat on the other side of the car. A baby, or what looked like one in the dark, was all bundled up inside of it. I got in, closing the door behind me to keep the cool night air out. When the hood slammed shut, I jerked my head up to find the man had closed it and was getting inside the car, behind the wheel. I had no idea what was going on and tried to open my door, but it wouldn't open. I jumped over the baby and tried to open the door, but it wouldn't open either. "Stop! Let me out!" The soft blankets where the baby should have been smelled weird. I pushed the blankets and found nothing was in them, and the man wasn't speeding away, but driving a normal speed to be leaving the parking lot. "Just go to sleep," the man told me. My eyes were getting heavy, and I had no idea why that was. "No, let me out." I tried to climb over the seat to get out the front passenger door. He pushed a rag against my face. "Just go to sleep." I felt it all going black and fell back into the back seat. And that's all I remember about that. When I woke up, I was in a dark room, like a motel room, and my clothes were gone, my hands and feet tied to bedposts. I looked out the window of the squad car, watching another officer take the man who'd lied to me so convincingly and put him in the back of another cop car. You know, I think I wouldn't have fallen for it if it wasn't for that damn phone call he got. It became so chaotic that I stopped thinking and just tried to solve the problem any way I could. "Yeah," the officer said. "He pulled covert hypnosis on you. He did it to most all the girls he kidnapped. He used chaos to get you out of your own mind. Then he put into your unconscious mind the need for help, and you had no real choice except to help the man. It's a human reaction, and he used it against you. It's a pretty damn dark and insidious way to get people to do what you want them to. I wish I could tell you that it would never happen to you again, but I'd be lying. It's actually been proven to work over and over again on the same people." "No way!" Let's see what you think. 1. You've read about some pretty dark ways to get people to do what you want them to. Would you stoop to using any of these tactics? And why or why not? 2. A woman comes up to you, crying inconsolably. She keeps trying to get you to come with her, but you're not sure why. It seems important, though, and she seems so upset that she couldn't actually harm you. Do you go with her to help, or do you walk away? Why or why not? 3. You've got a lot on your plate at work. Your boss has given you a strict timeline to get a project done. You will not be able to get it done on time, and he's told you that your job is on the line. Do you come up with an elaborate tale to get your boss off your back and get your time extended? Or do you accept the fate of being fired? Chapter 6. Hostile Mind Takeover. Brainwashing. A scary word. No one wants to believe that they could be brainwashed. But it happens. It happens more than you even know. Brainwashing is known by other names too. Mind abuse, coercive persuasion, and thought control. What happens is a person or even a group of people use systematic methods to get the victim to bend or conform to things they wouldn't conform to otherwise. Think about members of a cult. That's scary. But even scarier is the fact that advertisers have learned these dark techniques and use them regularly on the unsuspecting public. To make this complex subject easier to understand, I've written some lifelike scenarios for you. Only one conclusion. The day was long, the food supply limited, and picky eaters would prove hard to deal with. I was alone with my 2 sons in a remote cabin in the woods. Their father had gone out hunting and wouldn't be back for at least 2 days. We were on our own with the little we had. My 10 and 12-year-old sons didn't care for much other than fast food. I had my work cut out for me. Not young enough to force them to eat what I wanted them to, the boys would have to want the food I had to offer. But how to get preteens to think they actually wanted to eat something they'd turned down most of their lives? Hey, I was reading the other day how the turkey is a superfood, I brought up. Turkey? Garrett asked as he made a face. My 12-year-old thought himself a connoisseur of not-so-fine foods. If that's such a superfood, then why isn't it sold at any of the places we eat, Mom? Well, grapes are a superfood, and you can't get them at the places you eat either. I felt that needed to be pointed out. And we are out here in the wilderness, 20 miles from any town. If your dad doesn't make it back for any reason, then we'll have to hoof it out of here. And the snow is only getting deeper by the day. Are you saying that we should build ourselves up in case we have to walk out of here, Mom? Brian, her 10-year-old, asked. I shrugged. You never know. Might as well be prepared, right? My sons looked at each other. Then Garrett asked, So what about this turkey you read about? It's a superfood. It's got protein and other vital nutrients. Yeah, and it's gross, Brian said. Do you think that building muscle protein is gross, Brian? I asked. Garrett flexed his tiny bicep. I'm strong enough. Are you? I looked out the window as the snow fell outside of it. Are you strong enough to fend off, let's say, a wolf pack? Both boys looked a little on the frightened side. Nope, they said. Do you think that eating a superfood like a turkey could help you fight them off if it came to it? I asked. Brian nodded. Superfood is in the name, so I would think it could help. And what about hunger? Walking all that way, 20 miles, could deplete your energy. My bets are on that it would. Wouldn't it be best to have fueled your body with the best stuff you could so that you would have stamina much longer than if you'd eaten junk? Garrett agreed. Yeah, eating superfoods sounds like the best thing to do if you're faced with something like that. Yeah, Brian agreed. So, if you had the choice to eat cheese pizza or a turkey sandwich on whole grain bread, which would you pick if you had to walk 20 miles in the snow and possibly take on a pack of wolves along the way? Turkey sandwiches! They both shouted. Great. I got up to go make them some. Since we have no idea what we're in for, do you boys think tonight's dinner should be some turkey sandwiches or that one frozen cheese pizza we've got? Turkey sandwiches! They shouted again. And we have a winner. The same phrase. My mother had a new friend over the other day, and something she said just won't leave my mind, I told my husband. And Mom has been going to meet with this little church group with this woman for over a week. Now, Mom's saying this thing a lot, and I don't know if I like it. What is it? He asked me. It seems benign. I know it does, but it's just that her friend said it over and over, and now Mom's doing it. I couldn't shake the feeling that something bad might happen if I didn't tell someone what I'd overheard. "So what is it, Beth?" my husband asked, growing impatient. "The name of the man who heads up this little church group, a group who meets in the members' homes instead of a real church, is Barney. Even saying his name gives me the chills." "And what does that have to do with what this woman and your mother have been saying?" he asked me, looking aggravated as he rubbed his temples. "It's his name." The woman kept starting out her sentences with, "Barney says." It was odd. She said things like, "Barney says we should all eat tuna fish." My mother asked her why, and I swear to you that the woman merely shrugged and said that she didn't know. No one asks Barney why he says the things he says. That would be rude. Anyway, she went on to say that since she's added tuna to her diet, she feels great. "That's not so bad," my husband said as he laid back in our bed. "I don't see what you're worried about." She said other things too, like this. "Barney said we all need to put $10 into the pot each time we meet." And she also said, "Barney says we need to meet every other day, so we don't forget the words." I shrugged. I don't know what she meant by that, but I didn't like it. And I didn't like what I found at Mom's today. "What did you find at your mother's house?" "A whole shelf in her pantry is nothing but canned tuna fish. And she's got an envelope from her bank with nothing but $10 bills in it, too." I just knew something wasn't right with this little church group. And she told me that she joined that group, and then she said this. "Barney says we should all bring at least one new person to our group each month. Barney says when we get 100 followers that we can buy a place where we all can live, like a camp. We will all live in one great big home, and we will all take care of each other for the rest of our lives." "Great," my husband said. "I've always worried that your mother would end up living out the remainder of her years with us. Thank goodness she found this group." "No, I think he's a cult leader or something." I smacked him on the arm. "She said that Barney says they are all going to put all their money into one account that he'll oversee and make sure everyone is taken care of." "I still don't see a downside," my husband said, then snuggled down and went to sleep. Too many questions. "How would you like it if a man took your wallet, Joey?" he asked me. I couldn't say anything else as he jumped right back in. "How would you like it if someone stole your dog, Joey? How would you like it if you stepped on a nail? How would you like it if your mom went to jail? How would you like it if I took your stuffed teddy bear? How would you like it if you couldn't ever drink water again?" "Stop!" I screamed. But he didn't stop. "How would you like it if popcorn were no longer available? How would you like it if there wasn't any more snow, Joey? How would you like it if I ran over your toe with my car?" "I wouldn't like any of those things." "So, how would you like to go to the movies with me?" "Movies? Yeah, sure." I hadn't wanted to go anywhere with him, but I'd do anything to shut him up. When fear bends your mind. I sat at my desk in my office on the 5th floor when a strange man ran into my office, breathing hard and looking scared to death. "Thank God I made it!" He slammed the door closed behind him, locking it. "There's a fire out there. The whole place is on fire. I'm looking for all the survivors I can find to help them." He came at me quickly, pulling me out of my chair. "You've got to get out of here." "I don't smell any fire." "No, it's not quite here yet, but it's coming, and it's coming fast. You're going to have to jump." "I'm on the 5th floor. I can't jump. Would you rather burn alive?" "I would not rather burn alive." He pushed me to the window, then opened it. The ground looked so far away. "Here you go then. Time to jump." "But..." I got up on the ledge. "I don't see any smoke." "It's billowing out the other side. Hurry, there's no time to waste." He gave me a slight push. "Jump, now." And so I did. And that was when I broke my legs, all because of one crazy-as-sin man. When anger bends your mind. "I said no," she screamed at me. I hadn't even wanted to drink the beer until she did that. "You aren't the boss of me." "You will not drink that beer." Hell yes I will. You won't tell me what I can and can't do. I am an adult. I will make your life a living hell if you drink even one sip of that beer. I turned it up and drank it all down. To hell with you. I do what I want. Isolation and brainwashing. Joe grew up on a remote farm with only his grandparents around. With only the three of them, Joe knew nothing more than what he'd been told his entire life. When I got out of the car to pick him up and take him with me to a new home, a place where he'd be safe since the death of his grandparents, he tried to run away. No, I won't go. You're not real. I had another caseworker come in from behind the small house. It's okay. We're here to help you, Joe. No! The 15-year-old boy screamed. There's no one else on this planet. Why would they lie to me? Why? Joe was a victim of grandparents who thought it best to keep the boy unaware of outside life. They'd had to raise him from an infant when his mother took off and left him at their home. She was in a cult, and they wouldn't let her keep the baby she'd been pregnant with before she joined them. I had to try to make him understand why people he loved would do such a horrible thing to him. They did it only because they loved you, Joe. But it was all a lie. Now come with us and everything will be okay, I promise. He fell to his knees in the dark dirt. They promised me too, lady. They promised me too. Brainwashing in advertising. I sat there, my toothbrush in hand, and the tube of toothpaste that I'd used for years and years in the other. 9 out of 10 dentists recommend this brand, Danny. You should use it too. How do you know that's true? My new boyfriend came to stand at my side. I use the other brand, and guess what? What? I asked as I began brushing my teeth. That commercial says that 9 out of 10 dentists recommend my brand too. Think you might have been brainwashed? Have I? Some thought-provoking questions. 1. For years you've been told that there is no snow on Mount Olympus. Then you see a picture of the mountain on television and see snow on it. How do you feel about that? 2. You go to a meeting with a friend and find the charismatic leader of her group has lots of ideas that are way out of the norm. But he's so cute and he's smiling at you so much. What would you do if he asks you to join the group and leave your family behind? 3. You find a man running into your workplace screaming that terrorists are coming. You all have to hide. What do you do? Chapter 7. Playing games. The art of playing mind games has been practiced throughout history. Here are a few lifelike scenes to help you spot them and hopefully help you to know when someone is playing with your mind. Testing your faithfulness. So I'm seeing Joey, right? I told my best friend. And he does this thing last night that totally freaks me out, but like in a good way, I guess. What did he do? Well, his best friend called me all late and stuff, and he asked me if he could come over. He told me that he really likes me and that Joey never had to find out. What did you do? I totally told him that I was with Joey and that he needed to respect his friend a lot more than he was. And then I hung up on him. But how was Joey a part of that? Oh, he called me right after and told me that he'd set me up. He gave me a test on faithfulness, and I'd passed. Yeah, me. I think that was a pretty manipulative thing to do. You don't see it that way? No way. It means he loves me. Not. When they really want what you have. So, girl, I know you're in love and all that, but I saw your man Tyrone talking to Sarah. Sarah from the bar. No way. I felt myself dying inside. I thought he loved me. Yeah, I know, right? I don't know what to do. Break up with him before he gives you a disease, girl. You know what you got to do. Don't even tell him that you know about what he did. Just tell him that you don't love him anymore. Stick it to him before he can stick it to you. You're right. You're a great friend. Thanks, Ruth. 1 week later, going into the club, I see Ruth sitting on Tyrone's lap. And by the look I found on her face, I think I had been played. Getting played over food. I sat down at the table in the cafeteria with my plate, hungry and ready to eat. Boy, I am starving today. Jane looks at my plate. She has nothing in front of her. Yuck, that looks nasty. I bet they put dog food in that. That is what it looks like. It's chili. I look at the plate full of the food I had thought looked delicious. Well, chili or not, It looks like it came out of a can with a dog's face on it. She turns up her nose and looks the other way. No longer looking at the food the same way, I feel my stomach rumbling for something else. I'm gonna go get a bag of chips. This does look disgusting. When I come back, the plate is empty. Who ate that nasty stuff, Jane? I did. She wiped her mouth off. Turned out it was good after all. And I ate my stale chips as I kicked myself for falling for that load of bull. Played for money. Mama, Mama! I walked into the house to see if I could score some cash to go to the movies. What? She called out. Mama, I need some money. Nope. I found her on the sofa watching television. Please? No, you still haven't done the yard work I asked you to do last week. I gave you $10 for that before you did the work. I ain't falling for that ploy again. All I need is $5, Mom. Look, if you give me the $5, then I'll not only do the yard work, but I'll sweep and mop the whole house for you tomorrow. I don't know. I can't trust you. Sure you can. I promise. Well, I guess I can give you one more chance. She takes out a $5 and gives it to me. Have fun tonight. Tomorrow, though, you got to work. The next day, I'm hurrying out the door. Hey, where are you going? You promised me you'd do the yard work and sweep and mop, remember? Mom asked. Oh, man, I forgot that I've got a basketball game, Mama. Sorry, the team needs me. You understand, right? Love you. Got a jet. I'd had my fingers crossed behind my back when I made that promise anyway. Played for a fool. I saw this ad in the paper for a boxer puppy for free and went to see if I could get it. When I came up to the house, I saw an old man sitting on the porch. Mister, I'm here for that boxer puppy you've got for free. Oh, good. I've been needing a good home for my puppy. He got up and went inside, then came out with a tiny dog that looked nothing like a boxer. Here he is. It's pretty small. I took the puppy out of his hands. He's only 6 weeks old. The ad said you've got papers for him? It said he was registered. Oh, yeah, I forgot. Let me go get them. He came back with a piece of paper. Here you go. The paper looked legit. You got pics of his parents? Sure do. He pulled out his phone and showed me many photos. See? Nodding, I left with my free, registered boxer puppy. A few months later, when my dog hadn't grown even a little, I took it to the vet to see what was wrong with it. Turned out nothing was wrong with my puppy. It was a full-grown Chihuahua, was all. Seemed I'd been played for a fool. What would you do? 1. You've got to get rid of some kittens. You have to move, and you need them gone to good homes fast. They all have these cool stripes that look a lot like those on a bobcat. Do you advertise them as a rare breed of cats called Manxes, and maybe even a buck or two from them? 2. You want to know if your girl is cheating, so you set her up and see if she'll fall for your friend. Do you feel this is right or wrong? And why? 3. You're starving, but you have no money. Your friend has food that you'd love to eat. Do you make it seem unappetizing so she won't eat? Conclusion. Now, some of the things you read in this book were funny, and some were sad, while others were scary. All of them played on your emotions. They were meant to make you think. Life isn't easy, fair, or even right at times. Sometimes it seems there is nothing we can do about it either. But that's not completely true. You can make a difference. It's up to you what you do with what you've learned in this book. My hope is that you don't do anything you've learned in a bad way. But I do hope you learn to recognize when someone is pulling some of this dark stuff on you or someone you care about. You've got the power to turn things around. Life is unfair, tragic, and full of surprises. What you do with it is all up to you. Make your life count for the good. The end.